Here we go. All the UEFA finals are set. 2 match days left in the Premier League season to decide the final places, and you couldn't have had more different results from our local MLS teams. What's going on, guys? Dave here again for A Soccer Fan Walks Into a Bar. Lots of places to dance around here in review and plenty of upcoming matches to cover, so don't go anywhere. All right, Diego.
What's
What
up, buddy?
is going on? Happy Mother's Day
To
recovery.
everybody out there, baby.
Yeah. How was Mother's Day brunch here in the tap room?
It was beautiful.
Good.
It was actually really nice. We got a good attendance. Mothers were happy. It was a beautiful weather. It wasn't too hot, too cold. So it was a blessed Sunday
Good.
and even a better weekend with all the soccer we had,
Holy
man.
cow. It's like,
Jeez, it was amazing. Those great match after great match, from the beginning of the weekend all the way all through Saturday
even
and
the
Sunday.
the disappointing results were good matches at least. So
Oh, yeah.
It was very good on that front. Got plenty to talk about. Lots of action in the Premier League. We are down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Only 2 match days left, so let's jump right into the Premier League. We will start with a lot of the kind of, well, let's say 7th to
Yeah.
10th place.
The lower level
squads.
matches.
Yeah. Because that's really one of the big fights left is that last potential European spot,
Really,
depending
yes.
on who wins the FA Cup final. So
Absolutely.
we'll jump right
true.
in. Fulham hosting Everton. Again, we've been talking at length. I can't even remember how long now.
Yep.
Everton really seems to be
Found his space.
finding their space.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they are playing incredibly well. They're getting really good results. All these results that we have been talking about here that, we gave them to the other team, but no,
Listen,
Everton is
so-
showing up and showing out.
So Fulham
doing
went
really
ahead
good.
early. A Raul Jimenez goal in the 17th
Yeah.
minute. Stoppage time of the first half, goal from Everton to draw things level, and then 2 goals in 4 minutes from Everton.
That was
3-1
it.
final. Everton now sit 13th place on 42 points, ahead of West Ham, ahead of Man U,
Yeah.
ahead of Tottenham. It really is
It's incredible. Absolutely.
They are 7 points behind Crystal Palace, so
Yeah.
obviously nowhere else to go further up.
Nah, but that's great.
But what a respectable
End of the season.
that they've had. It really has been
Incredible.
amazing.
Yeah,
that-
no, you are
what they've done.
100% correct, man. And it bodes well for next year. Hopefully, they're in the same position as we are with Bournemouth.
Right.
They are in this place that if they can start climbing up to the top of the table, it's a winning year.
I
for
will say
them.
Everton
So,
is a historic squad.
yeah, but they're in the
historic
best
club.
place nowadays.
They're moving into a brand new stadium
Oh,
next year. So, not that, I'm obviously we're always bullish on Bournemouth.
Yes.
But they have a lot of good things going for them over on the other side of Liverpool.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right on that. So, with that in mind, so I guess it's a good segue for them to transition into this new era of, what Everton is going to be in the future. And hopefully, like you said, they go back to who they were back in the day, because past few decades, it's been a little low point.
It has. All right, so that puts Fulham behind the 8 ball, 11th place now. Another team that is right in that mix was Brighton.
Yeah.
They traveled to Wolves, a first half penalty from Danny Welbeck, and Gruda's first Premier League goal in the 85th minute to really ice things.
Yep.
Brighton 2, Wolves 0. Brighton now sit 9th place, 55 points. Interestingly enough, they only had 2 shots on target against Wolves. Scored them both. There are rumors that Verbruggen might be going to Real Madrid.
Yes.
I was talking with some of our Brighton, friends and fans. As much as I like him, I don't know if he's Real Madrid level.
Now there's a big responsibility right there.
So
it's going to be tough for him to adjust to all the stars.
Without a doubt.
Just managing Vinicius alone is going to be a full-time job for him. So we'll see what has he learned, from all his coaching and how he can apply it, because Ancelotti is a different level of coach.
More on that later. Brentford did also win.
Yeah.
So everyone else, again, I'm always nervous with Bournemouth when they know the results ahead of time of what they need. And case in point,
That's what happened this weekend.
Bournemouth hosting Villa. Bournemouth 0, Villa 1, and Ollie Watkins' goal. Basically, the last kick of the first half.
Yeah.
There could have been a red card for Villa in the first half with Tyrone Mings, an elbow to the face, and Scott actually wound up breaking his jaw from that tackle.
No way.
So he's done for the rest of the year.
Jesus.
Jacob Ramsey, red card in the 80th minute, made things much more interesting. And despite domination of possession, just Bournemouth could not get it done
because of the same reason.
They are now out of control of their own destiny.
Yeah.
They sit 2 points behind both Brentford and Brighton for that pivotal 8th spot. Remains to be seen what the next 2 matches will bring, but kind of a gut punch for
yeah,
Bournemouth
no, 100%. Especially because, like you said, they dominated the match. They did have a couple of chances. It should have come out with a tie at least. I mean, that was my expectation. My expectation was to at least come up with a tie out of that, especially because of the goal. But the guys kind of lost concentration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got too much into themselves. And again, if you give the Bournemouth the ball, they kind of like made themselves nuts with them. And just the result wasn't there. And it's sad though, because they kind of control their own thing. You know what I mean? Their own destiny. They could have just win this match, be in a better position, but it's not going to happen this year, next year, though.
Right.
Year.
All right. So moving elsewhere within the Premier League, I would normally say that some of the bigger names, but we go down to the bottom of the table. 2 teams that have recently won European semifinals and will be playing against one another in a European final. Both lost 2-0. Tottenham lost hosting Crystal Palace, 2 goals from Eze in the 45th and 48th minute. Tottenham only mustered 1 shot on target. They conceded 23 shots, 10 of which on target.
That was crazy.
Man United, meanwhile, hosted West Ham. And while they dominated the shots, they did lead in possession. 2 goals, one from Souček, one from Jared Bowen. And they also lost 2-0. So Man U and Tottenham, who will be playing in a European final, currently sit 16th and 17th place. It's incredible to see where they could be and where they are part of the season. And now here we are.
Well, I mean, it's 2 things. I mean, like you said, the dismay and the horrible season that they've had, it's just apparent. That is not a doubt. But it shows what kind of athletes they are and what kind of professionals, because like you said, they are fighting for somewhat of a meaningful trophy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess they, it's just forget about the league this year and just try to salvage as much as you can with these couple matches you have, because it was horrendous.
Yeah.
It just was horrendous. Like you said, one of them couldn't buy a shot for the life of them, and the other one shot all day long.
Right.
Couldn't get it in. So what are we talking about here with these 2 teams? These 2 teams are just baffling.
I agree. It really is. I mean, they've got to figure this out in the summer.
Absolutely.
Not to mention obviously the big drop off, but now they're one of them will be out of Europe altogether next year.
Absolutely.
So not only does that hurt your incoming transfer, profile,
exactly,
but you're also out of all that European money, and how do you balance the books then?
Exactly. That is another one of the things that I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. You're out of all this money, and now how are you going to invest? You know what I mean? You are going to these arrangements. It's I don't know what the term is for the regulations of the
is it PSL?
I think so.
Yeah,
but with those regulations in place, it can only be down from here, because they're not going to be able to keep as many players as they have with the salary cap.
PSR.
There you go. Thank you, sir. With the salary cap they have right now, with the amount of money they're paying to other players, that's going to hinder them hugely next year.
It's certainly going to be a factor for both of them. For clubs like a West Ham, for clubs like an Everton, who have aspirations to continue picking up. You do need that European money coming in.
Absolutely.
And speaking of European money and top of the table, we will finish off our Premier League weekend. Liverpool, Arsenal, Cody Gakpo and Lucho both scoring 2 goals in 2 minutes. But Arsenal mustered up a plan and was able to come back despite a late red card. So 2-2, share the spoils. Obviously, Liverpool was well on their way. Arsenal did the guard of honor to congratulate them for winning the title. So an interesting and good result overall. But again, nothing, no changes.
No, this was inconsequential for anything. It was just the marquee match.
The only thing of consequence there is with 2 more dropped points, Arsenal could drop out of second. They could actually finish, by the end of next week, they could be 4th.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier with Aaron and everything. Yeah, you're right, though. It's a difficult situation, but they're still in Europe. They're still playing for the big tournaments. So, it could have been better, but it's, no sweat of their skin, as they say.
Right. All right, so moving out of the Premier League to some of the other European leagues, what a match this was. I hope you guys were all able to watch on Mother's Day morning. 4-3, Barcelona, Real Madrid. 2 early goals from Kylian Mbappe, a 5th-minute penalty, then the 14th minute. And then here came Barca. they Madrid poked the bear, and Barcelona woke it up.
Got the claws, baby.
4 first-half goals. Eric Garcia in the 19th minute. Lamine Yamal with a beautifully shaped left-footed finish, 32nd minute, and a pair of goals from Rafinha. To make things 4-2 at halftime. It could have been more.
Oh, like you texted me during the game.
Rafinha could have had half a dozen goals in that match. So to go into halftime 4-2, but Barcelona dominated everything.
But then
the Mbappe goal to finish off his hat trick in the 70th minute, and things got
hairy.
It popped off.
Sticky for a second. And you know what? By the way, I forgot. Shout out to all the moms that watched the game. We did have like 4 or 5 moms that came and asked and stayed and watched and celebrated the game. So that was beautiful. That's what we want here. We want the people who you don't expect to want to come and watch soccer to come and watch it with us. So thank you, ladies. We love you. We appreciate you. But yes, coming back to Barcelona, it's incredible. So, but it's scary as well, because as good as they are, and you told me this, there is just no difference. The defense, the defensive effort is just absolutely non-existent. There is zero effort. They just don't communicate well. They can't recover. They get caught backpedaling all the time. I mean, it's just incredible. It's unbelievable for a team to be that good offensively to just try to play basketball. That's the way I'm looking at it.
They've conceded 36 goals in their 35 league matches. That being said, the second most goals for is Real Madrid, 72 in 35. Barcelona has 95.
Yes.
So they are scoring almost 3 goals a match. They are on pace for well over 100 goals this year.
Yes. But that's their plan. And that is my problem. They're young kids. They will get better next year. They will get more structurally sound with each other. But you can't really depend on outscoring everybody, because it will happen what just happened in the Champions League.
Yeah.
There is a team that will just blow your lid off, and then what do?
For what it's worth, they're all fun to watch.
I'm not saying they're not fun to watch.
4-3 here, 7-6 on aggregate against Inter Milan.
But you think about it, in those 3 matches, they got scored 9 goals on. Yeah. Yes, they might have scored about 10 if you do the whole thing. But come on, man. That is just unbelievable. You can't go about like that. You know what I mean? At that point in those 3 games, they were 10-10. They were even scores. Right. So something's got to give. Again, as a fan, and you, I'm here for it, especially with those Lamine Yamal streakers and those beautiful shots.
I can't.
He's got a magic leg.
How good he is at this age. Yeah. We mentioned it last week. I just, you hope that it's not too much too soon, and he has a nice long career.
Yeah.
But as it stands, with 3 matches to play, Barcelona lead Real Madrid by 7 points. Atletico are a further 5 points behind Real Madrid on 70.
Yeah, no, they're
and
good.
Athletic Bilbao with 64 points in fourth, potentially for Champions League.
Hey, shout out to my cousin Nico, Bilbao fan. They did really good this year.
Yeah.
They surprised a lot of people with their result
and
and their play and
a
everything.
lot of Bournemouth connections to Bilbao with
Really?
Iraola and Kepa.
Oh, well, yeah. No, indirect connections. You're absolutely right. So, I mean, the Spanish league is done pretty much, I believe, Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't
May have this one in
mathematically
the bag.
clinched. They need, let's see, so 75, 84.
I mean,
So
they tied the
Barcelona
three
do
matches.
need a win
Yeah.
or a draw or loss from Madrid, I believe, to mathematically
be champions.
with the 3 matches to go. So let's see. Barcelona, who do they have left? Barcelona has City Derby. They play Espanyol.
That's a tough
They
one.
have Villarreal, and then they finish at Bilbao. So
The Villarreal
not necessarily the easiest few matches to finish with.
Especially because that Espanyol match is always
So Espanyol currently sits 14th, and then Villarreal and Bilbao 4th and 5th place. So they're all going to be fighting for Champions League points there.
Yeah, so it's not going to be
as
easy.
for Madrid, they have Mallorca, Sevilla, and Sociedad.
Oh, La Real Sociedad.
Yeah.
They always give them trouble, but I mean, I guess it looks a lot easier for Madrid, but Barcelona is just too good.
Sociedad are in 12th. Where do we have? Mallorca's in 9th place. Wow. So definitely an easier schedule for Madrid. That being said, a couple points and it's wrapped up for Barca.
You can't stop those kids. Man. Those kids are ridiculous, and good for them. So I'm actually kind of sad that they missed out on the triplete, but that showed the reality of that team. I mean, maybe that is a thing for Flick to start hammering on. Like, remember how you lost that match, those 2 matches, because you really lost them both.
For sure. Yeah. It definitely was not the results that they were looking for or expected, but Inter has quietly put together an extremely good year.
So opportunistic.
Yes.
Those guys.
And sometimes, luck is just not on your side. And that's why, the treble is as rare as it is.
Yeah.
Especially with Champions League and your domestic cup being knockouts, it's all it takes is one match to trip up and you're done. So all right, that's going to do it for the first half of our show. We will be right back with 100 miles to home, some MLS action, and like I said in the intro, the 2 squads could not have had more different weeks than we did.
Right, my friend.
All right, stay tuned, don't go anywhere.
See you soon.
All right, welcome back to A Soccer Fan.
What's up,
welcome
everybody?
to a bar. Dave here. We got Diego next to me. MLS action. It was interesting to say the least. So, Red Bulls hosting LA Galaxy in a rematch of the MLS Cup a few months ago, and
this time they took it out.
Well, I mean, let's start with the struggles that LA Galaxy have had so far this year. They are shaping up not only to be one of the worst defending champions in MLS history, but just one of the worst teams in MLS
in general.
history.
Yeah, they can't buy a win, man.
So as it finished, I don't even know if we have enough time to go over all the goals. 7-0 Red Bulls beating LA Galaxy. 2 goals from Choupo-Moting, 2 from Forsberg, Harper, Jengar, and of course the icing on the cake in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, an own goal from LA Galaxy. It was
just to make things perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you could not have written it up any more apt. So despite winning the possession battle, Galaxy conceded 7 goals. Wow, just what a game.
Can you do?
Yeah, I mean, it really has been historically bad. So after 12 matches now, Galaxy are winless, 3 draws, 9 losses, only 8 goals for, and 28 goals conceded.
Wow.
And that, again, so, sometimes you say, okay, it's a blowout. It shouldn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of the 7 goals that they just gave up. That was 21 goals conceded.
Yep.
Which would still be the second worst in the West.
No, it's a tough situation for them. I mean, they, like you said, they just won the title. And I don't know, the complacency maybe, or what is happening over there, but it is a huge drop off from what they were expected to be like, because they didn't make any big changes. They didn't let anybody.
They did lose some players. You have salary cap issues, which is, again, to the non-MLS fan, pretty foreign. But so they had some battles to stay under the cap and do all that. But still, we've always said you can't win the title in the first couple months of the season. You can certainly lose it.
And these guys are well on their way there.
They are 7 points back from 14th place.
Jesus Christ.
He's not going to help either. This is just this is beyond religion helping at this point.
Yeah, there is no prayers. There is not enough prayers for
you got to figure something out
to fix it up. Maybe an exorcism.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point. What else can you try, right? Why not?
Absolutely. But no, you know what? Kudos to Red Bull, because they saw blood and they went for it. This is one of the most, I want to say, active games that I've seen from them. Like, because usually they just, like we said all the time, they give the other team the ball and they just score the opportunities that they can get and try to do the best they can with that. But in this one, like you said, they did. LA did won the possession battle, but not by as much as
no.
Usually
it was
the other
pretty
team.
even, yeah.
So they went out and pressured. They saw the weakness and they just attacked it relentlessly. And that's a good sign for a team that needs to start preparing and looking ahead to the second half of the season. So, kudos for them. And hopefully this boosts everybody else. I mean, pretty much everybody got a chance to score, and 3 or 4 players got really good scoring matches this one. So let's go Red Bulls for now. Hopefully.
For sure. Well, yeah, because there's not much to talk about on the other side of the river.
Sorry, my guy.
So NYCFC hosting the last place in the East team, the second worst team in the league, CF Montreal, and on the heels of a midweek U.S. Open Cup loss to second division Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Yes. Oh my God, dude.
The Pigeons, despite 60% possession, only mustered 2 shots on target en route to a 1-0 loss on a Prince Owusu goal in the 48th minute. Countless missed chances from Alonso Martinez, from why can't I think? Julian Fernandez missed a few, gilded edge chances. Pereira missed a bunch.
That's the problem. Like we have been talking about, and like I keep insisting since I started actually fully watching every single one of those games, they just don't have that finishing connection. They don't know what to do with the ball because their pass accuracy, midfield and back, it's okay. Their defense kind of holds water too. I mean, they don't lose by too many goals.
Right.
They lose by 1 or 2. The problem is that you can't buy a goal anymore with these guys, man.
So, I mean, their best goal scorer is a wildly inconsistent Alonso Martinez.
You are absolutely right.
When he's on, I would put him up among the top finishers, Messi included, in the MLS.
Yep.
But you never know when that's going to happen.
Exactly. And you got that. And you add to that the fact that he can't get a real quality pass in that scoring position for the life of him for the most part. And this was exemplary here in this specific match.
Sure.
Some other times, yes, you have a mistake from the defense or something and the ball lands and you have a good opportunity for it. But this one, they just couldn't stitch 2 passes together right before the box. Like, it was just not happening. They didn't have any corner kicks. It was a horrendous show. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? Like, we try to support here, the teams that say positive things.
Oh, but
I didn't see any positive out of that, man.
Whether it's NYCFC, whether it's Red Bulls, whether it's Bournemouth, Liverpool, I don't care.
Objectivity.
My AC Milan, like if they're not playing well, if
they're just
they have to be called out when necessary. So
absolutely, man. And they need to wake up. Something's got to give because they're falling farther and farther behind. And we always say second part of the season is the most crucial.
Especially with the playoff format.
Exactly. You got to make it into the top 8. But the way they're playing, they don't seem to be able to be capable of fighting to get there. So let's see what happens, and let's see what the coach is going to do next week. But something's got to give, and very fast.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump. Speaking of all these squads and all these competitions, let's jump right over to what's on tap.
Let's go. Yeah.
Our coverage of
busy week
some of these
week.
busy.
Let me see the schedule.
Yes. So. We do have some other things going on here in the brewery, so we have not finished off the schedule of what we'll be showing here. But these are, a lot of the big marquee matches that we at the very least want to talk about. So Wednesday, the 14th, the Coppa Italia final. Again, my AC Milan against Bologna. What a turnaround that they've had under Conceição. Pulisic scored and had an assist on the weekend. Santi Jimenez, the Mexican, has been playing really well.
Oh, really?
So that ought to be a great match. Bologna's been up and down. Milan, who currently sit 8th, although only 4 points out of 4th place, and that's Champions League for them. So again, same scenario we talked about with United and Tottenham.
Yes.
Milan, if they want to continue this trend they need to get that European money coming in.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, what do you think? Who do you think? I know you're rooting for AC, but
they've been playing very well lately. They did just play Bologna, I believe, a week or two ago. So you have all that familiarity.
Yeah.
I think Milan takes it.
Yeah, they should.
They should. So
they should at least.
All right. Friday, we have 2 matches. Aston Villa hosting Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea hosting Man United. So again, 2 squads that are fighting for European spots in Villa and Chelsea, and 2 squads that are just fighting to get to their European final.
Very ironic that those are the teams, that those are the teams playing for the top and for European Cups. But it is a reality of this season. Manchester went down the hill, and there is no way to get better. So I don't think they're going to be too much of a challenge for Chelsea at all. And then you got Aston Villa on the same way. I mean, Tottenham's had some great matches. They scored a ton of goals, but what are we going to do?
What Tottenham is going to show up?
Exactly. And after what happened last week, it's a coin toss.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, moving into the weekend, Saturday morning, the FA Cup final at Wembley, Crystal Palace, Manchester City. Who you got?
City. I mean, they're playing well now. It's back to the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Although Palace is playing well too. It's a one-off final. You have some of these great young players at Palace. But does the Man City
experience,
and I was going to say that the championship DNA finally pull through.
Yep.
And then shortly after that, 4:30 p.m., we just talked about both squads and how the differing directions they're going in. A Hudson River Derby.
Here they go.
NYCFC hosting the Red Bulls. I'm not optimistic based on the last week. You never know what'll happen, but I do think Red Bulls probably comfortably take this match.
Yeah, the things. Yeah. I mean, it kind of like it is. It's just the way the results have been happening lately. Red Bulls has more of a chance to get out of that funk or ride their high of 7 goals.
For sure.
Onto New York City, and New York City just doesn't. I don't see it, especially with Red Bull. All right, let's say Red Bull gives the ball to City the entire match. They can't finish.
Yeah, it's
actually optimal for Red Bull to do that right now.
The only saving grace maybe is, does NYCFC just get amped up for this match and play out of their skin and
City pride?
Could this be a kind of a linchpin moment for NYCFC's season to start, putting the game together?
Really better. It actually better be, because this is the moment. Like right here, we always talk about turnaround matches, and usually we're kind of right, though. I've been thinking about it. Every time we say, this is the important match to win. If you win it, you go. They do. If they lose it, they just kind of go away. And this is that for them. I got to be honest. It's just, this is going to be where all the eyes are.
Right.
You know, everybody's eyes are on you, your city, your own fans. This is your rival. There is so much at play and at stake for them that they need to. They really, really, really need to win this game. So let's hope they kind of shock us and win.
We'll see. My eyes will certainly be on it
Yes, sir.
in the stadium. So
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
see how that goes. But I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Not too optimistic.
No, it's all right. Have faith, bro. Be a fan.
All right. Sunday, Arsenal hosting Newcastle in what could pivotally be a second place finish for either of those squads, which if for Newcastle on the heels of winning, you know, the Carabao Cup this year,
Yep.
a second place finish would be an incredible year for
100%.
Eddie Howe and crew.
Again, we were talking about how weird it is to have all these names fighting for super meaningful places and outcomes in this season, and it's great for Newcastle.
I agree.
I feel so happy for them.
Yeah, no, it's you know, Newcastle has a former Bournemouth player and manager as their manager, so I hear a lot of goodwill, in my comings and goings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's kind of a team that Bournemouth fans have been on the lookout for and secretly rooting for. So to see their ascendance and what they're doing has been nice. Obviously, Aaron and the Gunners crew will not be too happy about all that. They want to keep second place. But it, again, should be another match full of fireworks and full of competition. So
yeah, no, I do. I hope that I don't have any allegiances, to be honest with you. Like you said, Arsenal, it's kind of the current strong team, but I do remember my Newcastle from the Faustino Sprigge times and all those good old US
great squad
UEFA Cups they used to have. So it's good to see them back in those places, and hopefully it's going to be consistent from now on.
And then we roll into Monday Night Football. Brighton hosting champions Liverpool. Monday at 3 p.m. We are highly considering having a special watch party for that. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, any of these watch parties that are, super early or days that we're not normally open, there is no kitchen, just the bar. So plan accordingly with that. But Brighton Liverpool on Monday at 3. And then due to the FA Cup final, there are 2 Tuesday matches as well.
Okay.
Crystal Palace, obviously, in the final hosting Wolves, and Man City hosting Bournemouth. So we will be somewhere watching that as well.
Absolutely.
This could spell, the end of things for Bournemouth. Obviously, for the year, they will at that point in time know all the other results. Again, like we've talked about.
Dangerous territory for them.
And then going into the Lions Den, that is the Etihad Stadium.
Yeah.
For that final match of the match week.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it is do or die. And again,
exactly
it's a great season for Bournemouth. A little bit above the table every year. You climb up, you establish yourself.
A points record, a wins record. So they've done everything they need to do. It's just to see the European places that close and within your grasp, and to not get there. It stings.
Of course, as a competitors, I mean, they're all football players. They're professionals. That's their goal at the end of the day. Play meaningful matches for meaningful things. So, they might have a chance. Like you said, they don't control their destiny anymore. But weirder things have happened in the past weeks. You know what I mean?
Oh, have they?
We've seen weekends that every single one of the teams that are above Bournemouth lose and give up points. So. Still two. What do you call it? Two times, 2 weekends left. So
2 match days left. All right, one for the road. This one has been kind of mentioned on and off, literally for probably a year and a half now.
Yes.
I haven't seen a ton of places reporting on it yet, but according to Brazil's own national team website,
yes, officially,
Brazil has announced that Carlo Ancelotti will be the new men's national team coach.
I don't like that though.
No, what don't you like about it?
Well, it is the swan song of a soccer style. It really is. This happening means that Brazil finally gave up the Jogo Bonito. There is no longer available.
Yeah.
It's not their thing anymore. And it saddens me. I'm not going to lie to you, though, because I mean, that is the creative soccer. That's the soccer that I fell in love with. So makes me a little sad. I know they want to be competitive, and I know that I guess the philosophy has changed, but I don't agree. They should just go back to the roots. My thought is if they want to become Brazil, the Brazil that was feared and won games just on the shirt alone,
right.
they need to go back to their roots.
Yeah,
They don't need to
I'm
move on
trying
to
to
what they
go
were.
back in time, and I'm
What,
looking.
an international coach?
Yeah,
Absolutely not, bro. It
That's
was
what
not allowed. No.
Brazilian,
No, sir. No.
Brazilian,
Nope.
Leao, Brazilian
No.
caretaker.
They weren't as obsessed as fitting in as they used to be, as they are now. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were their own thing. They were separated. Nobody messed with them. Uh, just their teams. Like I told you off camera a lot of the times. Brazilian players went to the World Cup to make a name for themselves. I mean, they were known internationally and everything, but they all played at the Brasileirão. Most of the Brazilian teams that won World Cups, they have one or two established anchors. They're veterans, they're caps. Yes, they have those. They did play in Europe, but the coach, the staff, all the role players, they all came straight from the Brasileirão. It wasn't like now that you have, I want to say 9 out of the 11 starters playing in Europe, playing European style soccer. And, whatever they want to do is their team, their country, but that's losing your identity. That's selling out your identity.
Yeah, he's the first foreign
absolutely.
manager of the Brazilian national.
As much as I hate Brazil because they beat us over and over and over again, they kicked us out of several World Cups. I appreciate their soccer. I follow their history, and this is an affront. I totally disagree.
Well, it'll be interesting in the coming weeks. We'll see if we can get some Brazilian, Brazilians and Brazilian soccer fans
to opinionate on this. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I my love for Carlo Ancelotti.
Yes. No, I know.
He's been one of my favorite players and managers for almost 30 years now.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying. So my point is not with Ancelotti. Because Ancelotti
I acknowledge that.
He can absolutely be capable of coaching anybody, anytime, anywhere, no problem, and make them a successful team. So maybe Brazil goes back to the top of the world, but it's not going to be the Brazil that made the name.
Right.
The shirt is not going to be the same. It's not going to feel the same. The soccer is not going to be the same.
But you specifically, obviously, you have a much better South American knowledge base than I do. You're on record as wanting the Brazilian national team to be mostly
Brazilian
guys that are playing in Brazil.
In the Brasileirão,
and you have said you feel that's why they've fallen off.
Yep, absolutely.
So Carlo Ancelotti, whether you like his style, hate his style, his man management is second to none.
Yes.
Can he be the manager to bridge the gap between the Vinny Juniors that are playing in Europe?
Yes. Okay.
With the domestic players. It hasn't really happened much in recent history.
No, it hasn't. But the thing is, that is the problem. You're bringing a coach to manage your European teams. You're not bringing a coach to bridge a gap between what it was and what it is. You're moving on from what it was.
Right.
You need somebody to manage these egos because that's what's happening right now with them. They have too big of a players. When you have players that are stars in every single one of the teams that they play, they're not even role players.
Yeah.
You have too many chefs in the kitchen, as they say. You know what I mean? Everybody wants the ball. Everybody wants to score. Everyone wants to be a superstar. And that's what he's there for, because he has experience playing with all these stars, managing all these stars. So he's not going to try to bring back some unknown dude from Palmeiras because he doesn't know him. You know what I mean? He's got these people that he's worked for years on. Right. And that is the reason why he's hired to handle all these people.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So
I shouldn't say you're not wrong, because maybe you are wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah,
but
I'm not saying I'm right.
Your reasoning is certainly well-founded.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe the Brazilian Federation has just, realized, hey, you know what? The era of Jogo Bonito, it's not there anymore.
Yeah, well, I guess no. That,
I mean, look,
that's
you
literally
had,
what
you
I'm
had
saying.
Jogo Bonito, then you had the Tiki Taka, and that's kind of been figured out. Now we're going to a new, the Jurgen Klopp and Marcelo Bielsa, high press, nonstop. That seems to be trending. Does that start to get figured out, or do we just run out of steam like a Bournemouth, like a Tottenham, where they've fallen off? So is that a realization from the federation that, hey, you know what we're doing is not working? Yes, we have history, probably the most history of any football nation. Don't tell that to the English national team guys, but they have the most history, the most success in history. And they're
switch is off. Is done.
The switch is off. They're rebooting.
I guess.
I don't know.
Again, that is literally what this movie screams. That's literally what it shows everybody in the world of soccer, that Brazil is done with what they used to do. They're done with what they used to be, and they're moving on to something bigger and better for them, I imagine. But then we need to find that new person, because that's what gave soccer a lot of joy.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like nowadays, everything is very more mathematical. And again, it's like everything. I was discussing this with a friend of mine, and he literally shot me out because he was like, "You're an old head, man. You're talking about it like the basketball old heads in America. Talk about Steph Curry. This kid came in and revolutionized the game, and everything is 3 points, and everything is shooting from far away." And he was like, "That's what's happening with Brazil. Brazil is done playing hard-nosed, smash-mouth soccer. They're ready to play Steph Curry style."
And not for anything. Again, this is, a much bigger issue with the globalization of the game. But, Brazilian kids, even in the favelas, they might not have money. They have access, some easier than others, but they have access to watching European soccer now.
Actually, yes, they do. I'm not going to say no. But when it comes to Brazilian people, they will pack their stadium.
Oh, I'm not saying
their
they don't.
Local team is what they live for.
The ability to see the European game so much more freely, is that influencing the style of play now, the culture of play?
The youth?
Yeah.
They still love Pelé. They still love Ronaldo and Ronaldinho, Bebeto.
But where are those players? Where are those players?
They're not being taken to Europe because they don't play European soccer anymore. That's the problem. Yeah. So those players are not there because they don't get to go to the World Cup or to the qualifiers at 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
So they don't get discovered. They don't get brought back out there.
All right.
Nowadays, you got everybody established.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
So
we can argue back and forth, and we will continue to. But let's see if there's proof in the pudding.
Yes, exactly.
So Carlo Ancelotti's first game in charge of Brazil will be against Ecuador in early June.
Yep.
So Ecuador and then Paraguay, 2 CONMEBOL opponents.
Yep.
The proof is in the pudding. Let's see what he can get done. And for the record, 2 matches is not enough of a sample size. But I'm sure we will see a changed Brazil in terms of style, in terms of personnel, and I'm here for it. I think finding these little balances of Italian soccer with the Brazilian squad, it'll be very fun to watch. So that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you guys again for listening. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Discord. We're building out Blue Sky, our YouTube. Throw us an email. Please like and share our podcast, whether it's just audio on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or on our YouTube. Please get the word out.
Yep.
So we can do more of this fun stuff for you. Diego, thanks again.
Always a pleasure,
we'll catch
my
you up
guy.
in the tap room or right here next week, guys. Thanks again.
Cheers.